Good morning, it's Brian. I am back. You are on the Art of Startup War. Today I would like to introduce you to a phenomenal entrepreneur. We have invested in Miho. We have invested in her company Moodbit. It is a phenomenal company, as everybody knows who are listening to these shows. We do not just talk to entrepreneurs who are doing wonderful things. We talk to entrepreneurs who we monstrously believe in because we're investing money in them today. And we're investing money in today because we believe they can be the unicorns of tomorrow. Moodbit is a fascinating HR platform. I believe it is the new wave of human resources. Now, we invested in it during the pandemic, but in truth, even though this is like perfect pandemic platform, I would have invested in it before the pandemic even happened because I believe it's the future of how companies and people are going to work. So I've been sufficiently not telling on what it's all about because I'm going to let Miho go into that in more detail. So welcome to the show, Miho.
Hi, Brian. Thank you for the invitation. I'm so excited to talk to you. I've been listening to your podcast a while ago. I think you are interviewing great founders, and I feel very privileged to be here. Thank you.
I am. I have the best job. I had our chief of staff on earlier on today, and she's like, oh my God, that was an incredible interview. I'm saying, I have the best job in the world. I get to meet the most incredible people who are building the tomorrow. And I'm here today finding out what that looks like. Is there a better job on the planet? I don't think so.
I agree. Working with people that are founders that have the vision of the future is something fascinating. It is not a day-to-day regular job. I think we as founders sacrifice a lot of our personal life and I always say this is a life decision, being an entrepreneur. Sometimes we don't take this decision very consciously in the beginning. We just follow the passion. But after a couple of years, and I'm more than a couple of years in this, I'm 10 years in the industry of being an entrepreneur, creating new things and creating products for the market. I took the decision a while ago to take this life path of being an entrepreneur, which is very hard, but it's so excited to work with what's going to happen in the future, how we can make a new future. We have been talking about future of work for several years, thinking that the robots will take the jobs of the humans, but pandemic and COVID helped us to understand what the future of work was and how different our ideas of when this future of work will come. And it just came in just 1 year, and COVID make it happen. So yeah, I think your job is amazing to talk with founders and people that are working on things that right now seems sometimes very naive, sometimes very weird or difficult to achieve. But we founders are very strong and persistent to do whatever we have in mind.
And I love how you've segued into the future of work. I believe the pandemic has forced the greatest change in work, maybe in the last 40 years.
Or more, I think in centuries. Because after some revolutions in the history, I think humans were in the comfort zone of how we're building the world and our work. And just COVID, we were waiting for something to happen. And my co-founder and I, we were thinking for many years, the HR industry have to change somehow, some way, because it is a very more traditional industry. A very, very traditional industry. And for us, it was so difficult to knock that wall because people didn't want to start thinking about AI or didn't want to start thinking, I can understand my employees without asking any question. Because I am here, I'm a manager, I'm in my office, I don't need any type of technology. I've been listening so many times in the past years before COVID when I was pitching what was Moodbit. I don't need a technology that can tell me how my employees are. I can ask them, or if I want to know about my employees, I can take them for a Friday pizza. And I was like, no, you can't, because maybe right now you have 5 employees, but later if you have 50, you're not going to ask one by one every single day. So yeah, I think COVID and the pandemic make a huge change in how we're working. I'm working from my house since March last year, and I think you are, and everybody's working from home, or mostly everybody in the office working from home,
I'm in the office,
a blended system.
But I'm the only person. I'm the only person. I'm all lonely in my office. I feel like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. I'm the only person here, and I'm going to go mad. But it's so true. But even the arguments before, and I think this is a great way to start this conversation, because most people listening to this are investors. However, there will be some founders who will listen to it as well. And as a founder, I think one of the great lessons here is that life gives us opportunities. Now, it gives it to us all the time, right? But most of the time we don't see them because they're very subtle opportunities. And every once in a while, a huge, obvious opportunity comes our way in the form of life-changing in a way that it will never go back. And the change in work is one of the big areas that's happened this time around. We will never, ever go back to a place where people will drive 2 hours to go to an office, where 500 people are going to drive 2 hours from all different directions to get to the same place, just to sit there for 8 or 9 hours, and then just to leave to drive 2 hours to get home again. It just never made any sense. And the only reason, and even the managers and the HR people who argued for, well, I have these people in front of me. Yeah, but the only reason you have these people in front of you is because you're forcing them to have them in front of you. And the only reason you're forcing them to be in front of you is because you have no technology to know what the heck is going on in their mind. So what you do now was needed 40 years ago. Just the ego of the people and the thirst for power to have all people in one area where you could control them overrided just common sense. The wonderful thing about what's happened with the pandemic is now everybody's gone home. Most workforces will balance somewhere between 30% of their people and 30% of the time in the office, 70% of the time in either third place working or in their own homes. And then we'll find that workplaces will adapt to make sure they do that. Now, what that is going to mean is that finally, managers in organizations are going to say, how do we make sure that we manage a distributed workforce effectively? And that doesn't mean giving them orders. It means providing service to them so that they're able to do the best job they possibly can. How do we do that? So enter Moodbit. And let's talk a little bit about your story, about your aha moment, because you had the aha moment way before this happened. For most people, it's obvious that this is required today, but you came up with it at a time when people didn't even realize that this was going to happen. So talk to us a little bit about that journey and how you got to the place where you knew absolutely that this was going to be the future of work.
Sure. I agree with everything that you said before. I think, we needed something to happen. And yeah, the pandemic made this future of work not be a future, but to be a present. But one thing that I don't agree what you said is that managers, they think that and their ego thinks that being in the office, they can control their employees. And it is not that way at all. No. Because what they thought now I understand, like managers before thought, okay, I'm in the office and I think I have the control of my workforce because I'm here and they are here in the office and I have my eyes, my ears and everything in the office so I can manage these people. It didn't work at all, because they didn't really understand their employees. No. One day they find out that their best employee or their best talent are resigning and they're quitting. And they didn't know why, because they are just running this once a year or twice a year survey, 50, 60 questions. It's impossible to really understand your workforce, your employees, just with this outdated tool. And for me, my aha moment was way before. I created my first company 10 years ago. And I was my co-founder and I, we were developing platforms, communication platforms for organizations, for big enterprises. And we help with the whole technology and the whole strategy on how to run the surveys and how to run all the internal communication of these corporations. And then I asked my clients, almost all my clients were HR. And I asked them, how do you understand when your employees are going to quit? How do you understand when they are disengaged or not? And the answer was, we really don't know. We just run a survey. And when we get the survey, the answers after 2-3 months of pushing to the employees these questions, and then we have to analyze all these surveys. And then after 3 months, we have to go to report to the CHRO or to the CFO and say, okay, these are the insights of what's happening in our workforce. In this 3-6 month period, many of their talent have left the company. So I asked my ex-clients, what are you doing with the data that it is inside of the organizations? There are so much data, so rich data in the HR systems, in the communication platforms, in so many other platforms internally that we can use, and you aren't doing anything with that. They were very cautious on how to use the data because this was many years ago. I started working with data 5-6 years ago with my co-founder and say, like, there are so many patterns that we can analyze and we can create insights, understanding not just the communication of the employees, not just the pattern of communication, but there are so much data in the HR systems. For example, when the employee started to work, how many years they are in the same position, if they have moving to another department or they are working in the same job, if they have changed roles, how many times they are working with the managers, how many times they have one-on-ones, and so many other rich data that we are using right now to help to understand when an employee might quit and try to prevent employees to resign the company. So we are helping to keep their high talents in the organization. There are other type of data that we're using to understand the engagement of the employee right now. So if an employee is disengaged and they are feeling any type of good connections with their coworkers or the managers, then the manager have to put more time and effort in that specific group of people, their team, their project, or so on, or even the individual. And we think that if the manager makes some changes in real time, let's say in a couple of weeks, then the employee can increase their engagement and have a better productivity in the organization. So my aha moment was several years ago, understanding that there's so much data that in the organizations that are very important to use. And that's why we were working with people analytics and the data in the organizations.
And so I love going through the hero's journey for entrepreneurs. And I know you've been through a hero's journey all of the way through. So at the beginning, the way the hero journey kind of works is at the beginning, you have this great idea, you have this great concept, you want to bring it to the world, you go out. Initially, everybody's very supportive. They always are. It's like, oh, that's a great idea, but nobody ever thinks you're going to be successful. Like they're supportive in a way where you're if your dog is good, you pat your dog on the head because you've done a nice job. And then you have varying degrees of success at the beginning. And sometimes success is finding out it doesn't work and you need to change it and make it better. But then things happen. And they happen because of the success. They happen with partners. They happen with, you're a mom and you're a great mom. Like I'm a dad of my little guy as well. And I sometimes think actually there's 3 co-founders. There's your little guy, and then there's your co-founder, right? So talk a little bit about the beginning of that journey where sometimes, where it started really strong, but some of the challenges that you faced that helped forge the resilience that you have today.
Wow. Big challenges at the beginning because I created my first company, and with that company, I had a lot of success. I didn't have to fundraise any time because we had revenue from day one. Before we had a name for our company, we already had clients and we already had revenue. So I was pretty good with that. But after many years working on that company and understanding that we can jump from consultant company to a great tech company, there was a lot of fear, a lot of insecurities. It was jumping from the comfort zone to nothing. We moved to another country. We moved to another language. So everything was a challenge. And on top of that, creating a technology that is using AI to kind of read or use the data from the organizations was a huge challenge. When you knock the door to HR and say like, hey, can we use your employees' data to give you insight? They were like, no way. So in the first 2 years, it was very, very challenging. And they were closing the door all the time. HR were very focused on just payroll, just paperwork for employees, a couple of more things for providing services to employees, but not thinking on their employee life cycle, on the employee experience or employee engagement, and not at all using AI. So they were very afraid. So the first couple of years was very challenging. Sometimes I wanted to quit. Sometimes I wake up and say, I don't know, maybe I should go back to something more easy, more as a consultant. But I haven't quit. I didn't quit. And COVID was the moment that we were expecting and we were needing. So not just HR, but the whole organization is looking to find a service, a technology that can help now that they are very frustrated with their employees and with their workforce working from home. We have been 1 year in this and they really do not know what to do. So yeah, it was challenging at the beginning, but I think entrepreneurs, we all have this DNA in our blood that we do not give up.
Some people have more DNA than others. So, and you have a lot, a lot. So what kept you going? Like in that, because it's very challenging. You know, you have something which is so powerful. You know, you have something which is going to help employees. Not only does it not hinder them, it gives them a voice as a team. That's what's so powerful about the data that you use. It's that it provides cumulative data without pointing at a particular person, that allows senior level management to be able to improve the management of that team. It's so powerful, because if all of the data coming through from all of the communications and everything else they see is that everybody's unhappy, nobody's getting training, nobody's getting education, well, it's wonderful because it goes straight to the CEO and or the head of HR, and they go, great, we know that that team are underperforming, we know that they're complaining that they don't have any training, education, or that they don't like the fact that they're working on Saturdays, or that they're not working at all, right? We know there's a correlation. We can fix the correlation without having to do reviews, without having to fire people, without having to go down all these roads that we would normally have to go down, because to cut out the cancer, we have to cut out the entire cancer, which means that there's some good bits that get cut out too. They never wanted to do that. So you give them this wonderful opportunity. So you knew this all the way back in that time. You knew it would be a wonderful solution for them, but they didn't have the foresight to be able to come in. What kept you going all those years? And it wasn't all those years, it was for a year or two.
I think for me, it's just the idea of this. I think this is a great product. I think this is like a no-brainer. It was something completely different. I never heard anyone using AI for this type of solutions.
No.
Then I start learning a lot of people analytics and studying a lot and working with my team with data and say like, there are so much things that we can help the organization with. And it is not just giving the insights to the managers so the managers can understand their employees. Sometimes they do not have the time to really check the insights, but we can prevent employees to leave the company. We can help employee retention. We can also help, and this is very important for me, because we really can help on the employee's life cycle. There are so many organizations that are having problems, like overtiming is a big problem in some organizations. They are working past 16 hours a day, and the organization really do not take care of that. There are some cases that we have discussed with some of our clients. There are cases that people died because they are overtiming, and organizations do not have any type of insights about that, or they kind of know, but they do not know in the moment, in the precise moment. So for me, what kept me working on this for the past 2 years before COVID was, I think this is a great product. Just I maybe.
And obviously we do too, right? Which is why we put the investment into it. I think it's better than a great product. I think this is going to be the de facto rule for what companies are going to use for their HR processes to make sure that their managers are trained and skilled to the right level to make sure they take care of their employees. And then you had these breakthroughs, right? You started to get large companies. So this is like in the hero's journey, you're not coming out the other side. Your product is fully developed. Your team have become stronger. Your developers have become better. You're now able to position the product in a good place. The pandemic comes in and just gives you a little bit of a push from behind. And suddenly companies desperately need you because they know this isn't the future, this is the now. So what happened and how did that feel?
As you said, I think it was a journey. At the beginning, we didn't know what a really startup was. We were trained, or we had a consultant company. So it's a very different mindset and journey. So what we had to learn was so many other things. We need to learn fundraising. We need to learn to talk with investors, to clients, and so many other things. So what happened was, we realized who was our market fit and who was our target, who did we have to knock the door to? Because at the beginning we were, okay, everybody in an HR department is our client. And then we realized HR department are not ready for this. Innovation departments are ready. And who has innovation departments? Just big enterprises. So we start knocking the doors of big enterprises while we were using the data from small companies. We were putting our service for free for small companies. So we got more data so we can create our own algorithms, create more models, create more insights. But our big change was, okay, we have to focus on big enterprises. And from that on, then we can go to everybody else. And innovation department have been opening their doors, and they then knock internally the HR department's doors. So it was the great strategy to go.
That's huge. And by the way, I think CEOs the same. Like CEOs of large organizations. If I'm the CEO of AT&T or T-Mobile, and you say to me, Brian, do you know what's happening with all of your staff in the? Of course, I do not. Do I even know what's happening with half my managers? No. Would I love to get an alert report on a daily basis or on a monthly basis to tell me which teams are underperforming, and is there a sentiment that correlates and a suggestion as to how we fix it? Like in a second, I would want to see that. I would need to see that because I feel frustrated that I don't get to be able to deal with, to know about these things directly myself. So it's huge. So you brought on large organization after large organization. Let's talk about the first large organization that you brought on. And we don't need to go through the name of the organization, but they're pretty huge. Talk to us a little bit about what that process looked like.
Oh, so we are working with this group of or departments, organizations inside consultant companies that are working with startups that are focused on find new innovations. So with this couple of consultant companies that we're working on, they showcase our technology to their clients. Fantastic. Or they are inviting us for webinars or to talk about Moodbit to their clients. So we did a couple of that, and we got our first big enterprise pilot with a big enterprise in South America. We did a couple of projects with them, and then we got another big, huge enterprise in Asia. So we're working with these two big companies in Asia because of having a webinar with JETRO. This is an organization that connects Japanese companies and American companies, or other countries too.
Fantastic. And then so you got in there. the consultants, which by the way is another great avenue to get in because they want to be able to show new ideas, not the same things they did before. So then that got you into the larger organizations. So now we know we've gone from having a phenomenal idea, bringing it out to a market that's not quite ready yet, then having a boost in the market, plus the market is now prepared. And now you're ahead of the market. Now you're right actually behind them. They need you so desperately. They're coming for you. You bring on your first clients. You then bring on lots more SMEs so you can build up your data sets. Now you've got revenue coming through. How do you build that revenue, which is in the tens of thousands? How do you build that up to $100,000 a month? And then how do you build it beyond? What does that journey look like? And then what does the fundraising look like for that journey too?
Our focus right now is to scale on the sales, scale on the product. Our product is ready. Of course, it's always an evolution of the product, and I'm waiting for the next step of our product for the 3.0 maybe. We have new insights. We're creating new data sets to have new insights of the product of Moodbit. But what we need is to scale the sales. So right now we're having revenue, and it was our first revenues starting last year, and we were so excited because after a couple of years of having no revenue, I'm almost giving up. For us was the moment to celebrate. But of course, this is just the beginning. And for us, scaling the sales is our main priority. And that's why we are fundraising right now. We are doing our seed round. We did a small pre-seed in 2019. It was great because we had angel investors, we had friends and family who believe in us and know us, knew us before of having Moodbit, so they invest some money. But right now we need institutional funding and build something that is so strong that can scale very, very fast, because it's the moment to do it. And I don't think Moodbit is successful now or in the way of success now because of COVID, but Moodbit is success because of the product and the mission that we have. I think we create something that is completely disruptive, something that we believe in, something that we put in the market as an idea, and not right now the market needed. So sales should be something more easy because people need the product right now. So our seed round should help us to scale our sales from what we are doing right now to hundreds of thousands in MRR, and then to be the next unicorn.
Yeah, because you're going to start educating. I see your product also becoming more of an educational product for companies as well, as how they can better manage staff. I see this is like a fascinating period we're going through. It's not just about the change of work and changing work practices and are people at home or are they in the office or where they're going. It's also about people learning how to more effectively manage people. Right? We're going through a change. And as I said, for all those years, if we take people when they came from the fields and then they went into the factories and then they left the factories and they went into the offices. And from that moment when they went into the offices, the feeling was always that we have to have you in front of us to be able to see. And to your point, if we see you, then we know what's going on. And now we're almost going through a time period which is like where we went from the fields to the factories and the factories to the offices. Now it's from the offices to the effective remote worker.
Yes, whatever you are.
That's what we are. You're a mobile remote worker, a flexible worker, we could even call it. And that flexible worker needs to have a communication with the head. It just needs a communication. That communication needs to be something dynamic, and it needs to be something which is non-intrusive, and it needs to be something where they don't have to make an effort to try and do it. And that's why your software is so powerful. I agree with you, but that education is going to be the fun part for you. And I think your whole model is going to stick at obviously making sure they have the platform they need, but also education on how to best use that platform for maximum ROI.
Yeah, and we're trying to have a very easy experience for the managers and for the users of our platform to be very not complicated. When they go to our platform and to their manager's dashboard, they can see the insights right away. They don't have to do any type of analysis. They don't have to. I remember I talked with the CEO of a company that just IPO a couple of weeks ago, and before his IPO, we were talking, and he said, I receive a spreadsheet of hundreds of pages from the CHRO from another company that is giving us the insight or the results of a survey. I don't want that. I really think this is taking the time that I don't have, and it's not giving me any type of insights. So having that in mind, we create a dashboard that is very smooth for the managers to use. Very the user experience is there.
I understand.
So, yeah.
Okay, so we're at the piece right there where you were just talking back about where you're going to go in the future, which is good. We're going to, hey, Vincent, did you get that cut okay? Just want to make sure Vincent got the cut. Okay, perfect. And then, so look, how I want to finish, Miho, is as you just finished right there with what you just said, we're going to wrap it into an end where you say, look, this is my vision for what's going to happen with Moodbit in the future. And then you finish up, and then I'll finish up with saying, oh, how can people contact you going forward? But I want to finish with a really big vision. So as you went right there, my next question was going to be the vision, but I actually think it will be better if you lead straight into the vision yourself. And if you just take a pause and you say, okay, let me tell you, we've spoken about where I came from Moodbit, and we've spoken about how the market has changed, and we've spoken about how the market adapted to us in many ways, but how we grew and we became stronger. Let me tell you of what my vision looks like in 5 years' time for what Moodbit is going to be. And then just hit us with something really powerful so that people have that to hang their hat on. And then I'll respond back for emails and stuff.
Sure. Okay. I just start?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Brian, we have talked about how I create Moodbit or with my co-founder, how we develop the idea, how we manage all the challenges in this couple of years. And now that the market is ready, how we're growing in this difficult year for everybody, but for us was a strong year. But now I want to tell you about our vision. Our vision is Moodbit as the first employee experience platform. We want to be that first option for enterprises, for medium companies. We want to be the analytics company and the people analytics company for every enterprise, not just in the US, but around the world. We want to be that service that there's no manager that doesn't know about us. We are not going to be building our technology and our product just to solve a couple of problems. We want to be the next company that is solving any type of problem for employee experience. Every manager and every employee of any organization will go to the dashboard and have their insights using the data from the employees, but also directly to the employees. We are helping the people too, not just the organizations. So we're going to be very big. I know, I understand. I've been in this for a couple of years, managing all the challenges, growing in this challenges world. And I think we're gonna be the next unicorn.
I absolutely agree, first of all. You know, I was thinking as you were saying there, who serves who? So in some ways, you serve the organizations serve the employees, and in some way, the employees serve the shareholders, right? Because as long as the shareholders are happy, then everybody should be leading towards making sure that the employees are happy. Without employees that are engaged, successful, and performing at their very best, then the shareholders lose. And if the shareholders lose, it all falls down before them. So I actually, if I layer on to what you say there, for me, the world that Moodbit creates is a world where employees are better trained, better educated, better performing, happier, and in a place where they actually are making a difference based on the environment being its absolute maximum for them.
Yes.
That's what Moodbit will do.
If you can put another part in this virtual circle, it is not just providing insights to the organizations, and that's our vision. It is not just providing the insights to the organizations or providing the insights to the employees. Is if we are having better workforce, better employees, then they are serving better to their clients, and everybody wins. If they have better service, better products to their clients, then every shareholder in the whole organization is winning. So I think it's helping the base of this whole virtual circle. For us, we are not just going to stop on improving employee experience. We can have much more just with the technology and the product that we have.
Wonderful. And so I'll say, look, for me, and I'm speaking to investors when I say this, for me, we got lucky to invest into this company. We believe that this company is going to be an absolute force going forward. We believe that the momentum is going to increase and increase and increase. We believe this founder and our co-founder are absolutely the best people to be running the company. And if you look at the technology and the depth of the AI and the machine learning that they're actually built into it, it will blow your mind. This is not something off the shelf. This is something that they've been building for years to create a company which is absolutely unique, that nobody else out there is doing the same thing. So for everybody to reach out to you, Miho, how do they do that?
They can contact me on LinkedIn. My name is Miho Shoji, or by email. My email is mshoji@mymoodbit.com. It's my first name and my last name.
Perfect. Wonderful. Look, like I said, best day we ever had was when we invested in you. You know you have our support all the way through. Any other investor would be lucky to have you along their side. Just keep doing the phenomenal job that you're doing.
Thank you, Brian. We're very happy that you are in our investors group. I think, and I feel your support. And I think this is the type of the investment that we're looking for. People that not just put the money on, but really believe in us and really believe in the future of what we're building. And I think we are more than happy to have you in our team now.
I got you. That's a wrap. Thanks, Miho.
Thank you, Ryan.